Good morning to those who are watching it in the morning. It is morning for me. Sorry, let me roll these windows up. I feel like my glasses are dirty. It's because they are. I can't see that well, but as long as you can see me, we should be good. Um, welcome or welcome back to the Cris Rants. Um, I don't really have anything specific to rant about per se, like nothing that's just like right there on the dome to get off, right there on my chest to let out. Um, but I didn't have a chance to check in with myself after that last one-on-one therapy session. It was really a lot going on. Like in the midst of me being on the phone during the appointment, my phone, I got a lot of activity on my phone, which is unusual for me. It's crazy. Usually, you know, I feel like for my one-on-one sessions are during a time of the day and a time during the week where there's not normally a lot going on in my life or like known to, right? So not a lot of text messages or phone calls, or if it is text messages, it's like really, really sparingly. So I might hear my phone buzz, but it doesn't really cause a distraction from my conversation. And for some reason, like, I just could not. I felt like every time it was time for me to like speak or answer a question or respond, my phone was ringing. And it's so irritating because um, there's circumstances in my life that makes me have to screen my calls. And because I'm a mom, I never know if it's my children. And because I have enough family members that I'm close to that I always want to check. I don't want to just disregard unless I'm like sleep or like so far into something and I don't have like my phone physically on me. I'm definitely checking. And so it was definitely a nuisance now that I think about it. Usually after a therapy session, I leave with some tips or some things I want to try, right? Or some suggestions that I want to put into place. Because you don't know that what you're doing isn't working until you try something else. Like, for example, 2 weeks ago, um, I came to the conclusion, or I finally realized, excuse me, that there's stuff that I've been doing since childhood, like from as long as I can remember. I have had this habit, and from a child's perspective, it got the job done. But I carried that habit over into adulthood, and because I'm so used to doing it, it never dawned on me, hey, this was a makeshift thing that you did as a child that you've been able to continue to do flying under the radar. Um, so when I took this particular habit into adulthood, all I did was it, I kind of made it fit in my way of doing things during adulthood. And now, because I'm struggling in so many facets of my life, my words, from me being me, it took me coming undone, or the process of me coming undone, um, to realize this particular habit might not be working for me, and to go a step further to realize that this started about in childhood, right? And on another note, I'm just going to say this so that I can say it, but I'm going to continue on. It made me think, what other things have I applied, created, instilled, put in place during my childhood years that I have automatically carried into my adulthood? That is following that's also contributing to um, not the best protocols to have in my life, right? Um, and it could be anything. So something as simple as, when you're a kid and your parents tell you to clean the room, or you're not going to be able to do what X, Y, and Z, watch TV, go outside with your friends, have ice cream, whatever. And you strategically put all the random stuff that you don't want to take the time to put away, you put in a nice little pile behind something that looks done, right? Ultimately, your room looks clean. And because those items are like random to you, them sitting in some pile behind something that's nice and neatly done, it works for a very long time, right? Out of sight, out of mind. So for years you do this. You just randomly just, oh, there's about 17 small to medium sized objects that I don't think I'm going to use. I don't even know why I have. I really don't want to be dealing with this. I'm going to put it in a nice neat pile and stick it behind something that's already taken care of. So when mom or dad or grandma or, whoever the person is who's giving you this task goes to check on you, you know, everything looks in order, and if you move things out of the way, technically it'll still look good, right? You do this for years. You do this for years. A lot of times what you do physically also takes place in other ways. So this process of hiding things that seem insignificant. um, but if we just stick on the physical sense, think of how many things you have put out of sight in so many different strategic places. When it comes time, you don't have those things, right? As an adult, you put away things that are seemingly insignificant or stuff you don't want to deal with, and everything's in place. All the things that you think are important at the time are in place. But as an adult, you're literally like sweeping dirt under the rug time and time and time and time again. And you've robbed yourself of the opportunity of completing the task, right? And you robbed yourself of being able to enjoy all of your possessions because you've ultimately hit it out of sight. And so things like that, right? It's innocent as a kid, right? You do it and it's functional, it gets the job done. But as you get older, putting things out of sight and forgetting about them because at the time they don't seem significant can cost you a lot of time, can cost you a lot of money, can cost you a lot of effort. Because something I don't need today, I'm definitely going to need another day. And if I go where it's supposed to be and it's not there, I assume I don't have it. And then assuming I don't have it, I go and I get it again. Right? And if you do that for years over your lifetime, it adds up. And it's just unnecessary. So when you think about that in terms of things that are important, things that you should learn as a child that you kind of, got your cheat code for, you ultimately are cheating yourself in the end. But anywho, so yeah, that session 2 weeks ago, when I realized something that I had started doing in childhood and brought into my adulthood and how it's not really helping me at all, I had to challenge that behavior. And so I had some tips on things of what to do. And so leaving out of the session, in addition to being able to unpack some things, I have some new things to apply that will help me essentially improve my life, or open up new doors, or expand my horizons. And so it's something I look forward to inside, during these one-on-one therapy sessions. So being able to unpack Being able to hear feedback from somebody I believe to be non-biased, or not non-biased, but somebody who I believe um, is eager for my progress, that's excited for my progress, invested in my progress, and so yeah, getting that kind of feedback and insight and difference in perspectives, and also some suggestions or tools that'll help me going forward, something for me to apply, something for me to work on. I call it homework, because in my brain, homework, um, it turns on a switch in my mind that makes me mindful of it. I spent a lot of years, you spend a lot of years in school and having homework. And for me, there was a discipline that I had for homework that I learned in elementary school, that as soon as I have the assignment, I can start working on it. As soon as I know what it is, I can start working on it. Regardless if I'm actually writing it down, collecting supplies, I can always start on the assignment in my brain. So if it's an essay, I can start thinking about what my thesis is going to be, right? I can start thinking about what kind of resources I want to use, things of that matter. They're pre-planning, but ultimately it contributes to the completing the homework process. Um, I say all that to say those are things that I look forward to, and kind of expect out of my one-on-one therapy sessions. So because this last session, I had so many interruptions and I was so tired. Jesus. Oh, I was so drained. I could multitask to save my life. I don't know if the calls were normal. It felt like the number of calls and text messages were just a lot. And it's even worse if it's something that I have to respond to, right? I feel like, oh, let me respond to this now, right? Because either they're going to keep calling or it needs an answer, right? But I don't want to stifle the conversation that I'm having. So I literally have to go from ear to the phone, eyes closed, taking deep breaths, and just going through the conversation, right? Keeping my body still and calm, and just allowing myself to travel where I need to travel with my words. And in the conversation to, all right, I'm put this on speakerphone, eyes are awake. I'm easily distracted. Not to say I'll lose my focus, but my focus becomes split. So to have to do that while trying to unpack this nightmare was so it was so trash for me. Like I did not like having those circumstances, right? Um but and I can't just attribute this to the distractions during the phone call, with phone calls and text messages, but I was hot. I couldn't breathe. I was tired. Jesus, I was tired. But when I got off the call, I felt like I didn't have any homework, which ultimately me felt like I failed the call, right? But I got a lot of feedback. Um, and not, oh, she kind of just gave me a lecture, but different things that were said sparked some different kind of insight. Like somebody can say something to you, you get that aha moment, and you could take it a step further, like, aha, didn't realize that. But in opening that door, you see more possibilities, and you get even deeper insight, than maybe that person had even intended to create a pathway for. So I think I said in the last rant, I was not sure if I needed to just speak on the nightmare or I needed to try to interpret it. And I'm happy that I kept that stance. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I could expect her letting me share what it was. And it's so crazy because I intentionally didn't go into detail on my rant, because I didn't want to rob myself of the organic exploration of that nightmare with my therapist. And it's great because as soon as I started to talk about it, like I said, talking about things brings about revelation for me. It's not enough for me to think about it, ruminate over it, and obsess myself about it in my mind. As soon as I open my mouth to talk about it, it's some crazy revelation and insight that happens for me. And so, as I was talking about it, it's almost like I was speaking in metaphors, and in my mind were instant replays of the horrific things that had happened to me in my life. And even though I was tired and even though it was scary, I wasn't scared in talking about it. So, but anyway, it was a struggle. It was a struggle, but I'm grateful for my preparation. I was afraid to take a nap prior to the session, but if for no other reason than because I had about an hour between, dropping the kids off and getting to a safe space where I can kind of doze off, and I got something to eat. I know I needed a little more energy other than what food provided in order for me to go about my day. Right. The Lord made it so my appointment after the call was going to be rescheduled to later on this week. So I didn't feel like a failure. Initially, it was canceled and I felt kind of like trash. But later on that day, early that morning, we were able to reschedule. So I was like, nope, I still get to check that off my list of things being done. I still have my homework from last week, from therapy. But me being so tired and not being able to catch up on that sleep, um, I know there's something that she had asked me to do, not big, like, oh, this is your homework, but just something that I was like, oh, I can definitely apply that. And I felt disappointed in myself. I know, people can be hard on themselves, and that apparently is something that I need to work on, but that's so hard to let go. It's really hard to let go. It's real easy to be like, I did the best, and that's good enough. But like, I can't even believe that. Like, I can't say that to myself and believe it. And in the rare opportunities where I say it and I start to believe it, I kind of pull myself back, because in essence, no, I'm not talking to you. Sorry. Um, in essence, I don't believe it. I had an expectation, and that didn't happen, and I blame myself for not getting it done. So I don't want that to be the rant. That is the assignment. See, there we go. It used to be people saw you talking to yourself, you was crazy. And it was like, no, it's only crazy if you answer yourself. I am full blown bonkers, y'all, because not only am I talking to myself, I'm answering myself, and I'm creating feedback for myself, and I'm okay with that. I feel like I'm making progress, and so that's that. Um, mm, hmm. So on my to-do list from a couple sessions ago is, since the beginning, it doesn't matter who I've had to work with me, it's been, you gotta have compassion for yourself. Gotta have compassion for yourself. And that's fine, but I feel like having so much compassion makes it so that I'm not effective. But if I remember correctly, an assignment that I can give myself from the last therapy session would be, oh crap, I lost it. Anywho, I know I'm going to continue to work on being hard on myself, or not being hard on myself, or not being so hard on myself. Um, I just lost it that fast. Doggone it. That's what I get. I am still tired. I still have a whole bunch of stuff to do. And I will try to get it done as much as possible. But look, herein lies another random string of rants. And blah. Um, on the plus side, when I took a nap prior to that session, no nightmares. I actually almost overslept. I'm happy that my phone was ringing like crazy. Um, and now, a couple days since, still no nightmares. I wasn't really terrified of going to sleep like normally, but I kind of know I need sleep. So it was kind of like, hey, let's just try our chances. And, I really need to sleep, so at least try it. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for having the opportunity to express myself. And I'm grateful for having the opportunity to find clarity. Ultimately, by being able to share with somebody I trusted my dream, dreams, or in my nightmares in this case specifically, I was able to face it. And I say this often, but Daddy says God can't fix what you won't face. And although I was afraid to face it, I had the confidence to at least try. And I feel like that was a part of a reward for me for having the faith to give it to God. Another thing that happened during um, that session was another piece of me came undone. And so when I say come undone, it's I understand emotions are natural. I understand they come. You feel them, you feel some type of way. I don't realize how much I internalize until a certain button is hit. And for me, crying and what levels of crying and whimpering, and you know how people say, oh, that ugly cry, where you are feeling it from like the pit of your stomach. Like you don't recognize your voice, you don't recognize anything. I go into this frenzy and everything kind of just comes out. Like if you think of, you know how you shake a soda or anything that's carbonated and you open it and it just overflows. Like all I did was take off the top. Life in essence for me has been shaking me up. And therapy is that twisting of the cap. And it seems like even though I prepare for therapy, it's 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 that constant opening up sometimes that finally opens up that top. And when it does, it's just this explosion. It's almost like the beginning 30 minutes of therapy are like scratching off those layers. And then you finally get to the good stuff. And so for the last couple weeks, I've really just realized how much undone I'm coming. Like just the seams busting at the seams, flowing over, explosion of just emotions and what's going on. And although it feels good to get out, that level of vulnerability um, is hard to live with. And it's hard to not resent the people in your life that's close to you. Because for all the people that I come in contact with, that I love on, that love on me, there's no opportunity to have that. And so it's hard not to resent myself and resent them because some stranger has come in over the last, few weeks or months and has been able to help me tap into these things that have always been an issue and things that I've always been able to talk about or try to express or share. And so it's a bittersweet type of experience. Grateful to get it out because getting it out gets it out. Um, but if I have this type of thing every week, it kind of makes me feel some type of way. Like what's going on in your day, in your life, that every time you go into this safe space, you still have this that you just gotta, you know, and it's not like it's the same thing. What I was coming undone about last time was not what I was coming undone about the time before that. And so the optimistic side of me is saying, hey, because there's so many layers and so many sides to you, it's a good thing because you're getting these things out, right? And eventually it's all going to be out. And even though you might feel some type of way, it won't be this explosion of or this it won't be so violent. It won't be so abrupt. It won't be so explosive. But a part of me is like, what's going on in your life that's broken that you always have something? But it goes back to me internalizing things and not realizing it. So, yet another rant that's been all over the place. But I'm glad to have gotten it out. To end on a good note, I feel okay. I don't feel like I look okay, but I may not comb my hair. I'll do something to my hair today, maybe. Or I'll put this hat back on. Um, there's a lot of stuff that I'm facing that I'm not too excited about. But I feel that had I not had these last couple sessions where I did come undone and been able to get some things off my chest, I wouldn't be able to deal with the things that I'm dealing with head on. So this was my follow-up and, feedback regarding my last session where I addressed a horrific nightmare that I had suffered through for hours in the night. But I'm grateful to God for being able to get it out and for Him to show me revelation while I'm facing such a scary thing. I hope you guys have an amazing day and are encouraged. If you're having nightmares, if you're coming undone, if you're feeling resentment or being hard on yourself, you're not alone. If you talk to yourself and answer yourself, you're not alone. You're amazing. You're a one of one, and the world would not be the same without you. You matter. You matter. From the top of the head to the sole of your feet, you matter. You are significant. And don't you let anybody tell you any different. Have an amazing day.